So today I'm going to do a bit of a debrief on the factors that went into my recent injury. So if you're new around here, I have had medial tibial stress syndrome or shin splints, and that actually caused me to miss my goal marathon race. So I'm going to talk about some of the factors that led to that injury, what I've been doing to recover, how I'm going now, my plans for the future. But this run itself, this is an all-out park run I did 2 weeks ago now at Shelley, and the purpose was just a fitness test to see where I'm at as I head into my next marathon training block, and to see how much fitness I'd lost as a result of that injury. So coming into it, I suspected that I was in slightly over 19-minute 5K shape. I secretly hoped for a sub 19 because the week before this run, I actually paced my son Joe to a sub 20-minute 5K. So again, if you've been following here a while, you would have seen a few videos of Joe, and he's been working for a while to get that sub 20 break that sub 20 barrier. And he's had, lots of setbacks, a lot of them psychological, but he did it. A couple of weeks ago, he did it. And it's so annoying though, because I took the camera to film it all, but the battery was flat. But he had a really great run. He had a great week, actually. He had school cross country during the week where he ran 11:03, I think, for the 3K. And then went and ran 19:47 on the weekend. So yeah, that was so good to see for Joe. But anyway, the reason I mentioned that is because the week before this, I was really surprised at how easy that 19:47 felt for me. Going into it, I was a bit worried. I actually said to Joe, look, if I can't keep up, you just go on. Like I was expecting that sub 25K to be an all-out effort for me. Not because I'd lost stacks of fitness necessarily through my injury, but it was more from the weight that I'd put on as a result of that injury. So it wasn't because of the injury, but I'll talk about this later, but just my state of mind. The diet really suffered, and I put on, 5-6 kilos. So definitely that's going to affect things. So I was pleasantly surprised at how easy that 19:47 felt. But that was in super shoes, that was in my Vaporflies. This run, because it's just for training, to gauge paces and intensities for training, I just wore not super shoes, the ones I would normally wear during training. And it's interesting because it was, I think, noticeably harder today. But anyway, we might talk more about this run later. But first, this medial tibial stress syndrome or shin splints, it was devastating. I had worked really, really hard in my marathon build and things were going so well. It happened, I think, the week after a 10K race I did where my confidence was really high. I did really well in that race. Everything was going so well. And it seemed to come on really quickly, which was a little bit bizarre. Now, initially, it's tempting to think that it was just the high mileage that I was doing, because I think the week that I was injured, I think I ran 170 Ks or something, thereabouts. But I was experimenting with some higher mileage. But I don't think it's as simple as just saying it was due to the high mileage. I think there are a combination of factors that went into it, but of course within the context of that really high mileage. So I think probably the biggest factor that jumped out at me as I reviewed my training and reviewed what I did was just a huge increase in plyometric training, which I should have spotted, I should have known better. But because with my plyometrics, like most of the things I do are meticulously planned, like I write everything down, I've got a plan for everything. But my plyometrics, for whatever reason, wasn't as carefully planned. And so I've read a book called Strength and Conditioning for Endurance Runners by Richard Blagrove. I've read that book heaps. It's really helpful. And in it, he talks about plyometrics. And I'll read a quote to you now from it. I'll just read it. It says, "Although it is strongly recommended that you exercise a high degree of caution when introducing and subsequently progressing your plyometric training." So I read that quote many times. I'd taken note of it, but I just didn't listen to it. So in that book, he says someone like me, someone who's kind of more towards the beginner side of things, especially with plyometrics, he recommends 50 to 100 foot contacts per session, 2 to 3 times a week. Now, I was doing this throughout most of the block. So I was within those guidelines. I was doing 54 foot contacts twice a week. But in the week leading up to my injury, I increased this to 92 foot contacts per session, but I was doing that 3 times a week. So I went from 104 foot contacts per week to 276. That's an increase of 165% in a week, which is way too much. And it's really easy to do with plyometrics because they feel easy, but as Richard Blagrave points out in his book, they actually place a huge amount of stress on the body. So that was, I think, a really big factor, an increase of 165% in my plyometric training. And coupled with that was a big increase in the impact on my lower body. So it did this in a couple of ways. So that the week leading up to the week leading up to the race, I did both of my harder interval sessions on concrete, where I normally do them on grass. So that was one thing. There's more impact on concrete than running on grass. But secondly, I completed the sessions on a very hilly, undulating course. And that's because the 10K race that I had coming up was on a very hilly and undulating course. In fact, I actually did the sessions on the same race course. Now, on paper, that sounds like a really good idea to train specifically for the race, but in reality, it was only the week before the race. It wasn't going to do much. It was more, I guess, not trusting that training. Like, I wanted to reassure myself of my paces and that things were going well. So it was never going to actually achieve all that much. And also, it obviously just placed considerably more stress on the lower body, which was already on a knife edge from such high volume training. So I think that was, in my mind, those are the two big factors: the plyometric training and doing those training sessions on a really hilly course. Because when I run on hills, I really notice, I notice it just beats my body up a lot more, especially when it's undulating. Like if it's all just uphill, that's fine. But when we've got some fast downhill bits, it just seems to batter me a bit more. And also, I think an error I made is racing for fun. I think we really have to be careful of B races in marathon training, because my body was already on the edge. And in hindsight, as fun as racing is, and as much of a confidence boost as it was, it definitely wasn't worth the risk, kind of inserting an all-out 10K race so late in my program, and especially as I didn't taper for it. So it's really easy to lose perspective in marathon training because we get used to running such long distances and workouts that, I was kind of thinking, it's only a 10K. But actually, all our efforts are completely different to intervals. And of course, this particular race was on a really hilly course. It was just a recipe for disaster. And I mean, there are some other minor ones. So as I was seeing the physio, he kind of discovered a mobility/strength imbalance. And it's a very slight asymmetry between my left and right side, but I don't think, and he even said it probably is just not going to be an issue normally. It was just because there was such a high load over the months, and in particular the week leading up, that it all just came to a head. So there was another possibly slight one, a slight asymmetry between left and right mobility in the ankles. Maybe overall life stress was a contributing factor too. And even though I wasn't stressed out, I did start a new job at the start of the year, which I'm really enjoying, but it's another thing, it's another load on my mind, and all this stuff, it all goes into it. So it can't be ignored. So I think those are the factors. Yes, there was the high mileage, that was the context, but everything was going fine. That's what's so annoying. My body genuinely felt really good. I wasn't experiencing any niggles at all. until after this race. And I think the plyometric training and doing those sessions on the concrete on a hilly course, it all just became too much. And do I regret it? Well, it's been really interesting since then dealing with it. Whereas I haven't been kind of depressed and upset about it, there's certainly a side of me that was upset and probably more annoyed with myself because, like, looking back, it's obvious, like, you idiot, James, what are you doing? You're just a beginner. You have no business doing that kind of mileage, blah, blah, blah. But I don't think I regret it, even though it's been really hard and I missed my goal race, which I'd worked so hard for. I think if I didn't try training that hard, I'd always be wondering what if, because I never wanted to leave anything on the table. I always wanted to push my body as hard as possible to get the results. And now that I've been there, that was a terrible idea. And I'm in worse shape now than I was at the start of the previous marathon block. So, like, the lessons have been learned. It is far better to go slowly, just increasing steadily, and not get injured than to go mental for a few months, get injured, be out for 8 weeks, lose all that fitness. So definitely learned the lesson, and my training now is very different. It's much more like a normal person, like more normal for the stage of my running journey. So I haven't even been running 2 years, I don't think. Maybe it's just over 2 years. So at the moment I'm doing about 75k a week, and it's all pretty standard. And I know that sticking at, like, consistency is king. We all know that. We hear it pretty much every day. Consistency is king. So I've learned the lesson, but I don't regret going there because I think I always would have wondered if I didn't. So while I was injured, the last video I did, I can't remember which one it was. It's been a while. Sorry about that. I've just had to deal with stuff and yeah. But the last video I did, I think, was on deep water running. I did a lot of deep water running to try and maintain fitness, and I did some stuff on the elliptical. Have I lost fitness? Well, we're going to see in this 5K here. But yes, is the short answer to that. But not in the way that I was expecting. So I think cardiovascular fitness, I think I managed to hang on to that. Like, now when I work out, my kind of heart and lungs feels absolutely fine, but I notice just much less muscular endurance, which I guess makes sense because I'm not using those same muscles deep water running or on the elliptical. So I really feel like my cardiovascular fitness is still really on point and really good, but I just need to get that muscular endurance back up to where it was before. And of course, having put on a lot of weight, that really affects things as well. So I'm in the 3rd K now, in the 4th K, in the 3rd K. Yeah, by this point I know I'm not going to get a sub 19, but, you know, hopeful for pretty close to 19 minutes. And again, I am surprised. I mean, yes, this was a lot faster than I ran the 1947 the week before, but I was really surprised at how much harder this pace was in the non-super shoes. It would be really interesting. I mean, it's impossible to discover because you'd have to do it on the same day, but I really wonder how much of a difference the super shoes made. I went into this thinking it wouldn't make much difference at all, but actually this was hard. And just knowing how much easier it felt the week before, I wonder if those Vaporflies make more of a difference than I give them credit for. But anyway, so coming into this marathon, I'll give you a bit of a teaser. Not a teaser, a spoiler, that's the one. I finished this in 19 minutes 10. So not bad, kind of what I was expecting, but still disappointing that I let my weight go, for starters, because that was something I really could control. But the diet, yeah, and it's that psychological thing. Like, when things are going well, when I'm seeing progress, I find it really easy to stick to a quite militant regime. But as soon as something goes wrong, like I say, it was just kind of devastating. So diet just was not good. I'd eat well during the day, and then at night just regularly binge and just undo all the work that I was doing. And even now, I found it actually really hard to break that habit. I feel like I've broken it now. And I'll tell you that one of the tricks, well, the trick for me, is we started a family challenge. So we call it the Collins Family Biggest Winner. So we've all chosen habits we want to form, so things that we really want to do, but are struggling to do it, without any incentive. So everyone in the family's chosen a few things, and it's going to be over a 6-week period. We've got a point system, we've got prizes. It's going to be good. And so far, it's really, really good. Like, everyone's stuck to it. We've only been doing it for, I think this is the 4th day. But I really do feel like this is going to be the thing that gets me back on track with the diet, because I'm so competitive. Like, I do not want my kids to beat me. I must win this. So obviously, one of my big things is just to stick to my planned diet. And I really feel like this is going to be the thing that just resets me and gets me back on track. So things are going, and the kids are going really well. Like, they've all got fitness goals, and with their homework, and so it's going really well. So if you struggle like me to, I don't know, just break a binging habit or something that you've got into, highly recommend trying this out with your family. And it's so much easier when we're doing it together, because I'm used to just doing silly things by myself and just relying on pure mental strength, but it's actually really good when you're in it together as a family. And because, like, my wife's got some diet goals as well, so I think it's going to be a lot easier for me, because we're just going to have less temptation around the house. So it's going to be a win all round. So look how we're here, coming up for the last 700-ish meters. So yeah, pace has dropped a lot. I set off, I think, at around 3:45, and I am suffering right now. Very hurting. Look at that, 4:10. So really hurting here. Trying to dig deep. And yeah, as I said, I wasn't it was a beautiful morning, by the way. The conditions are absolutely perfect. I think it was 7 degrees, and you can see it's not humid, it's not rainy or cloudy. So really good conditions. But yeah, 19:10 is what I could manage. And that's just the line in the sand. I can only go up from here. And I think things are going to improve. Oh, that's devastating, isn't it? The last 500 meters and you get overtaken. But that's all right. That's where we're at. And it's only going to improve from here. So I'm really looking forward to making some progress. October 12th, Perth Marathon is my next big goal. And I know that as now my diet is back on track, that weight is just going to melt off pretty quickly. I'm going to get my muscular endurance back, and it's going to be really good. One of the things I've really enjoyed, actually, while I've been injured, is just doing a bit more lifting. So during my last marathon block, I really cut back because I was really trying to, save weight and things. But I've kind of embraced, because my body type, it definitely is I'm definitely more of a fast twitch guy. I am definitely more designed for power and strength than endurance running, which is kind of funny that, I'm concentrating on the marathon. But I've really been enjoying lifting, so I am lifting more, and I don't really care. I just like it. Like, I know it's going to negatively impact my running, but it'll be interesting to see how much muscle I can put on, because I am in a deficit, so I'm targeting about a 500 calorie deficit per day, which is quite a lot. So it'll be interesting to see if I actually do gain much muscle mass, because, they're very conflicting goals. Building muscle. Hang on, is this the finish? Yeah, we'll come up to the finish now. So I still managed a little bit of a sprint at the end. Didn't have much left, but enough to drop it to kind of 3:20s. And there we go. Absolutely cooked. And these all-out park runs, this was really hard. I was so happy I went all the way to the end, because I knew I was never going to be on for a PB. It's not a proper race. And so mentally, it's actually really tough to keep going flat out to the end, because there's just no incentive. I've got nothing to gain from it, really. But anyway, thanks for watching. I will upload more frequently. Yep, I'll see you in the next one.